Beardy and the Beast, the second wall.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is a placeholder intro song.
Welcome to The Second Wall, a binge-free zone where we look at a series and discuss in small chunks, similar to water cooler conversations of old. We can be found on most podcast and social media platforms, full list of which can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. Today we will be finishing our discussion on Carole and Tuesday. As this is the end of the series, all bets are off on spoilers. With me, of course, is fellow artist Drew.
Pow pow.
So, Drew, we made it to the end.
And it became a bit of a slog at the end there. It wasn't for the Angela arc over the last 6 episodes, I probably would have just put it away, to be honest.
That's
Um,
fair.
yeah, in the end, I think the Angela arc saved it for me.
Yeah.
It was definitely just kind of going off the rails. It definitely was counting its sharks before they were jumped, and then like at least tried to pull something together in the end.
Yeah. Overall, like we'll go into a bit of the episode discussion and such first, but I know overall I like how season one was presented more,
Hmm.
but I really like the Angela story in season two or part two. So it
I
definitely saves it.
I agree with that analysis of it completely. So where shall we start then? Shall we start with kind of a breakdown of these episodes? I suppose. Hey.
Yeah, a bit of a breakdown. I don't feel there was enough going on that we could break it down like we did last episode where we took
Hmm.
the big story arcs. So I guess we could probably discuss just the Angela bits a bit separate from the rest of it because she has such a contained arc.
Hmm.
I guess episode 22, we're looking at the actual like Grammy performances and preparing for that. And
I was actually really surprised that the Grammy performances were in 22.
Hmm,
I thought they would be like in 23 or the beginning of 24.
hmm,
So they kind of were pushed right ahead. Uh, in relation to the Angela storyline, they were exactly where they needed to be.
yeah,
But I mean, I guess they did prepare us for them, but the Grammys just it felt like it came out of nowhere. They definitely had the lead up to them. We knew they were coming, and it was from an episode or two beforehand. But it just
yeah.
seemed story progression wise, just like bam in your face.
Hmm. Well, I guess there's a lot of it could be what can you really do around that? I mean, you could have like episodes of them preparing for it
Hmm.
or kind of combine into one. I mean, one thing this series has done for the most part is keep things condensed.
Hmm.
So I think it actually would have felt out of place if they took too long to do it once they introduced the idea.
Hmm.
Um, I think I really liked. I like watching the girls work in whichever whatever it is they're working on, be it trying to make sure they've got the song perfect for their idol Crystal to have it, especially when they know Crystal is very picky about doing these performances.
This
And just kind of
it actually went a different way than I had expected. It looked like they were trying to stick to like an already established format. Uh, like they had words up on the wall and they were trying to plan it out and were having a lot of difficulty doing so. And
yeah.
I'm I'm really surprised that it didn't end up going the way of, them just tearing those off of the wall and then going with something more natural and more inspired like their other tracks had been.
So I think, because you got to remember, this is the same song they did in the church scene,
Hmm.
right? So the church scene was kind of their teaser of it, and this was them completing it.
Hmm.
So I think that's probably why we didn't see that, because it was a concept. It was just, I think a lot of their stress came from the fact that they're doing it with Crystal,
Yeah, I suppose. I
right?
I had forgotten that connection to the one in the church.
Mm.
I thought it was a newly structured song. No, wasn't the one in the church for the ending of their album?
Yep.
So then that song was the same.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
same song. Yeah.
Um, all I know is that when they performed it, my response was uh, after the fire, underwhelming. I thought it was uninspired, underwhelming. I wasn't entertained by it. It didn't seem to have the girls like natural flair. I mean, I could easily have been tainted by how I viewed the way that they were writing the song, but I just like it didn't seem
Mm.
to like resound within their souls the same way the other tracks did.
I almost wonder if that's a presentation thing, because again, After the Fire is the song they did in the church as well,
Yeah.
where it didn't have that effect, right? So, I mean, just this is done different. It's like a toned down version of the over the top stuff they were trying to do for
Hmm.
Sedona, right? So it's still a little bit more spectacle. They're also really for the first time working with another artist, which changes the dynamic. I mean, pretty sure this is the only time we see, like, the first time we see them perform without their instruments. They're literally just singing, so it's a backing track and such like that too. So that could be part of it. Um, I like that song actually. It's the, I mean, maybe it's a bit on the nose. I can see where you're coming for that, but it's just the moving on, even through struggles, is a big message of that song, and that resonates with me. I like that. And like as Crystal says, like she can see the she can see that light shining.
Hmm.
I think that's what they're. I think it's shown through that song, though probably not as well as it was done in the church version.
I did like how the comedian pointed out uh, Steve Aoki.
Mm.
I'm like, I recognize that guy. I'm like, but how is he still so young and on Mars?
He's gone back in time and to Mars.
that that was really was really fun. I like the comedian because the jokes were like super corny.
Oh yeah,
Like it definitely seemed to be more of like a Japanese take on a American comedian.
yeah, for sure. Um, there's let's see. Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed that. Um, just kind of organizing my notes a little bit here, because again, I don't want to go into Angela too much yet.
Yeah,
Um,
let's kind of talk about uh Carole and Tuesday and their arc, and then we'll
yeah,
just break down Angela after.
yeah. One thing I noticed with Carole and Tuesday, the their birthdays
Hmm.
actually, like the final episodes for each were on their birthday,
Okay.
right? And you had the same thing with them both kind of going, okay, well, I need to get them something,
Mm-hmm.
you know, each getting them basically an ornament of their instrument. Um,
Yeah, because it was a pin, and a snow globe.
yeah, I'm
It's cute.
pretty sure it's lined up.
They have an adorable friendship for sure.
They really do. You just like her being like super nervous before midnight. It's just they sing happy birthday to her. It was adorable.
Yeah, it was like I didn't know what to expect there because it was like, wait, what is she doing? And how Carol like immediately knew. It's like, why are you acting so weird?
Yeah. And honestly, completely slipped my mind that that was the thing that was happening. um, so yeah, I really enjoyed that little character moment. Little things that I think were important during the Grammys itself. Um, they were actually seated right next to Angela and Tao and them,
hmm
but didn't seem to immediately notice that she wasn't there. But I mean, that's a lot of stuff happening around that too.
Well, I mean,
And
they also may have assumed that they were preparing for the performance, so they'd be backstage.
that's true. And I guess they knew Tao wasn't there.
hmm
Right. So, well, I guess they knew everything was going on. So I guess it wasn't that out of place. Um, I really liked Gus's concern when he realized what was happening.
Seemed misplaced to me.
Um,
I know he is probably one of the most caring individuals in the show, but again, he doesn't. He's spoken to say Dahlia even l- less than Carole and Tuesday have spoken to Angela. So his reaction to like Dahlia's condition and then subsequent passing just did not make sense to me.
I disagree. I actually think they talked more. Gus and Dahlia have talked more than Angela and Carol and Tuesday have.
I suppose, but like,
But it's a rivalry thing again, right? They're just proxy rivals. It's not like he didn't dislike her, but you have to boast your people you're managing.
yeah,
Is
but
how I took that.
the way that he reacted, and then like even visiting Dahlia's grave in the end, just like it didn't seem to make sense with the character progression. See, it seemed out of place to me.
Yeah, I didn't find it that out of place, but I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, it's just like you interact with someone 4 or 5 times, and then yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because they've been loose with Gus throughout the entire season.
Mm.
They seem to have a different kind of projection the way that he was going, and then kind of shifted. Like he seemed like earnest and capable, just a drunkard, and then they switched to him overall just being a someone unreliable, and then into some type of parental figure, and then in the end to someone who can provide. Like, just I don't know if I could attribute it to growth, but I think he was probably the least well written primary character,
Okay.
which is funny because like he has the greatest amount of associations with the people in the periphery. Like he's not the linchpin, but he has more connections of that web to all the other characters in the show than most anyone else. So yeah.
Here's a theory on that then. Like talking about the character side of that. So you're right. Starts off capable of drunk, but he also really hadn't found anyone since Flora.
Mhm.
So even though he's got these connections, he's trying to pull these connections, but they don't have the same faith in him anymore because he hasn't done anything since Flora,
Mm.
right? So he keeps missing the mark, which makes him a little bit bumbly. Then, as people are starting to recognize, oh no, these girls are something.
Mm.
He's able to bring his contacts back in properly and actually make use of them because the girls has given the rest of the industry the confidence.
Mm. I mean, it makes sense. I think overall, he's
Yeah.
probably like the worst written character out of like the bunch of primaries.
Yeah.
I did. I was kind of hoping when they were trying to do their celebrities are out of touch, we are the world thing. Uh, in the kind of like preview for the next episode, I think it was, they showed Gus talking, or it might have been like the montage
Mm.
of like him pulling in contacts or whatever, but him talking to people of relative like his age and style. So I was kind of hoping that they'd pull in his band, even though I realized after that I think his band is on Earth still because he came to Mars himself.
His
So,
band, no, his band was Hefner, the record exec,
oh,
and the makeup artist.
they were the band?
Yes,
I did not get
that
that
was,
from the show at all.
that was their contact. That was how those three were connected.
Ah, okay. I learned a thing. I swear though, I remember him saying that during the Flora episode. It might have been him just being like, it might have been before that, early season one. It might be a continuity error thing,
Mm.
but I could have swore that he said
Yeah.
like left his band, left Earth, came to Mars.
Possible I'm misremembering. I'm pretty sure that she was part of the band. I'm pretty sure at the very least the makeup artist was part of the band.
I mean, you're probably right,
Yeah.
but this is like out of nowhere info for me. So I either missed it completely or it's something that was like said afterwards that you might have
Mm.
read or something.
Possibly.
Uh, so I guess
Mm.
that kind of culminates like they start getting concerned about censorship, um, and Skip being arrested by current President Hamilton's um, police officers,
Yep.
um, which I realized afterwards. Again, present current President Hamilton, um, and his policies were the ones who would have arrested and deported Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm wondering. So they bring in their like, we are the world. We're all one thing to release on New Year's. It gets it gets muddy on this part, and I'm sure I'll rant about it a bit later. But I did enjoy the gathering of artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it was fun, especially seeing people come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Uh, I was happy to see uh, Desmond again, and of course GGK and
Pow pow.
Pow Pow Piotr.
The losers.
Pow Pow, indeed. Which I gotta say, I thought I laughed so hard when they were singing this super like honest. I wasn't convinced by this song either, but uh, it was supposed to be like this togetherness and heartfelt thing, and everyone's like just kind of grooving, and then you see him, and he's like pop dancing while singing this super slow tune, and I'm
Yeah.
like, That's his character for sure. But I did like to see some wrap up and some things from those side characters.
Yeah.
Mind you, having random, what was his name? Lonely Bill, Lonely John, one of the other losers,
Clarence?
Lonely Clarence,
Lonesome Clarence, I think, yeah.
Lonesome Clarence,
Yeah.
uh, just out of nowhere, and then he was like, "I know I'm kind of old, blah blah blah," and I was like, "Okay, I like him," and they start singing, and everyone's like, "Wait a minute," because first time anyone's heard him sing, apparently.
Well, it's the first time we've heard him sing,
Yeah.
but but you knew he should be good because he was nominated as one of the best new artists as well. So
Hmm.
um, I liked seeing like the violinist coming
Yeah,
back and playing, and
the one that like super intimidated Carole and Tuesday back in one of the best episodes.
yep. Uh,
It would have been so good if Skip had been there too.
mm,
Mm, love me some Skip.
yeah.
But my boy
But
Desmond showed up, so and Flora still got it.
yeah, I love Gus's reaction to seeing Flora sing again.
Oh yeah,
Like just completely lights up and like, oh. um, I mean, we did at least get Skip playing some air guitar.
I did like the air guitar for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, I think, yeah, it was really nice. The gathering of artists. I agree. It's a fun scene. Like just lots of heartfelt aspects. Um, we see again throughout these episodes just Carol and Tuesday's ability to like something that they're talking about, like just that kind of healing presence almost that they have,
Mm.
right? I mean, we see it with Desmond, we see it with Angela. Like they, I don't know, they inspire. They, they make people want to not give up. Like what Desmond says, like, well, I heard this. I'm like, well, I can't die yet. It was essentially what he said, right?
I I did really like that kind of response. Like it was cheesy AF, but
Yeah.
for just that scene with Rose, like they invited you, and I'll be here, and then eyes open.
Yeah.
No, can't die yet.
Yep.
Let's go, robot.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Um.
I mean,
Uh,
it's sad that they didn't get the most talented artist from the permanent tournament arc, a Mars singer.
they didn't invite Idea to come sing.
Or the rockers,
Yeah.
or the rapper.
Well,
The
he wasn't authentic enough.
That's true.
um, though the the granny should have been there. The one who sang the song that her mother used to sing to her.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about the two old rockers.
Oh yeah, no, they should have been there too.
That would have been fun. Instead, just
Um,
like some random people with random hair colors. It would have been nice
yeah,
to have everyone. But I mean, I guess they did want to show some star power, finger quotations, related to it. So just inviting a bunch of contestants from a show probably. Granted, they did say they invited everyone they knew, but
that could be a big thing too. Like they might not have actually known a lot of the others,
mm.
right? They're people in the industry. It doesn't mean they're people they knew. Like I mean, they're like, oh, but like Carol, she's like, oh yeah, we're gonna invite everyone we know too. Oh,
They're all in this room.
yeah.
I know this journalist. His name's. Oh wait, he's sitting right there with his shoes on the couch. By the way. I noticed that.
um, and it's like seeing just the very end Artigan's basic complete approval of Carole and Tuesday now. Uh, just such a just watching that change. Um,
Well, I don't think he ever didn't not approve.
he gives them the time now, I guess, is the
That is a
right.
very accurate description.
And I mean, you got to remember this, like when he was the judge, he was just shocked that they were even there, and right. So yeah, I guess you can. Do we want to talk about a little bit about Tao before we go into Angela, or do you have other directions you want to go first?
No, I think we should just get right into my girl Angela's story,
All right.
which is funny because I did not care for her especially much in the first season,
Yeah.
whereas I preferred the first season more. However, this one I actually felt like connected to her, like I could see and feel her emotions,
Mm.
but I didn't really like the season as a whole.
Yeah.
So it's just a interesting comparison.
Mm.
And boy howdy, the
Oh.
the destruction of a girl. Like they were definitely alluding to her being hopped up on Xanax and fentanyl, just like super drug induced, like no life in her eyes, just moving like a doll.
Mm.
And yeah, I was sitting there like I was teary eyed and I'm like, she needs someone. Like she can't be alone right now. And
Yeah.
Tao's not responding. Mind you, Tao is also doing something very important, but
Hmm.
uh I was still going like, what are you doing, Tao? The hell are you?
Yeah. Well, and that's got to be a tough choice. It's like knowing how important that is, and also someone that, believe it or not, okay, like Tao actually does care about people. It's like to have that choice, and I get why he didn't respond, and you got to give him mad props for showing up, even though like he knows he's going to be like arrested on site if
mm,
anyone catches him, but still making that effort to go out there. Uh, I think we're jumping ahead just a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
let's just
Well, I
start with
mean, her
her
per
performance.
yeah, her performance at the Grammys, like it didn't seem moving. Like the song itself seemed like a call for help and like autobiographical, but it emotions weren't there in the same way. Like she was singing as if she was disconnected from the situation because likely she was.
Yeah.
Like there was definitely some drug induced disconnect that was occurring there. And then of course her collapse just immediately she wins the award, comes out, and her life is just gone to heck so bad that what did I wrote down that I thought it was super interesting that Carol and Tuesday's highest point was Angela's lowest,
Hmm.
as it was them, reaching uh, an apex of their current story. Angela was like rock bottom in hers.
Yeah.
Like, it was just heartbreaking just seeing her destruction, her having no one to turn to, and
Yeah, because I mean, we talk talk about it, like me and Angela, like right even before singing, it's like she's just like completely, just like is it like the complete lifelessness in her eyes, and um, oh, I've gotten ahead of myself. Yeah,
It's okay.
it's just like getting the dying words from her mom, right? Still no real closure around that relationship either.
Well, that was one of the things that was the most problematic about it, like emotionally. So she finally stood up to her mother, and then mother goes comatose, and then like immediately just goes like dying words. Here's some things.
Hmm.
Like there was no way to grow throughout that, and there was no redemption of Dahlia.
Yeah,
I mean, treating someone as just an outlet of your ambition and uh, like there was a suggested amount of physical abuse in season one, I think.
yeah,
I mean, there's no closure there. There's no redemption of the Dahlia character. Uh, we know the most positive light we got to see Dahlia in was during the rivalry involving Gus,
yeah,
and that's probably like one of the only positive lights you get to see.
yeah. I
I'm sorry, your
mean,
dying words of like, but I loved you is like okay.
yeah. I mean, in I actually think, with that being said, the no closure, like you said, no redemption, or anything. I almost think it's real
Hmm.
in a way too. You don't always get the closure,
Well, it's
right?
true, and it was important for her character not to receive it.
Hmm.
I think it was important that she, at least for her story, anyways, and the story writing aspect of this, like it was important for her to experience that and that complete loss, so that she could continue,
Yeah,
um, like the downward spiral that she experienced.
yeah. And yeah, just to go back into the downward spiral. So, going to that song, I know you said I found that song really powerful. Even, and I think part of it is because of those things you said, that she's so disconnected from it. When we've seen her be so into it before, it actually really connects her to this song again still, because that is her mind state.
Hmm.
Um,
I get what
right?
I get what you're saying. It just didn't seem like the true version of the song.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Um,
like we like a really good but kind of offbeat cover of like an emotional ballad.
mm,
It's still really good, and you can tell that they're feeling something. But like, is it a true representation of what the song is supposed to be? Then again, you also could counter that with saying like the song's emotion is in the listeners, the way they perceive it. But I mean, that's a whole different conversation for a completely different um, environment, I guess you could say.
yeah. Um, so with that song, and then it's actually an interesting thing. A thought that came through my head, and then we kind of talked about this before we started recording. It'd be interesting to do just a character study of Angela throughout the series, like
Hmm.
as an in-depth thing. One of the things that entered my mind today, and I kind of tried to do it, but didn't really get as much opportunity as I wanted to. Um, I wanted to see how her story is told through like the 6 or 7 songs she has, like listening to them in that order, how it follows her character and such as well.
Hmm.
Because I think there could be a lot there. Be interesting to do.
I bet you in this day and age, if you did a search, you could probably find like a like a like an essay character study of Angela and that
Yeah.
very means from like a prestigious institution of some sort.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But the
If
paywall.
yeah, if anyone finds anything like that, leave it in the comments. I would be happy to read through something along those lines.
Yeah. Um, so we go to the next episode after the hospital montage, like the hospital credits was
Yeah, the change of the credit
perfect.
structure um kind of shocked me because like I expected her to pass out and then fade to black and then just regular credits and that would
Yeah.
move on to the next episode. But in this case, uh, like credits over like the ambulance scene and like in the hospital, and then of course they did that for the 23 as well,
Hmm.
and that made it even more powerful. It's like seeing seeing the world come in and out from
Yeah.
Angela's point of view.
And the song playing over that was actually part of the same song that she was singing in the Grammys. That was the
Mm.
best of the song. She didn't finish the song there. She
Oh,
passed out halfway through. Um, so yeah, that's all one song.
yeah, and
You know, so-
I started paying attention to the lyrics, but after she passed out, then there was like the song playing in the background. Like I was more focused on what was going on
yeah.
because she wasn't directly singing it.
Hmm. I said I listened to I'll just listen to the soundtrack
Mm.
uh, as well, which is something I know you haven't been able to do because you wanted to get through the series first.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely wanted to experience it in its rawest form before moving
yeah,
on to it.
yeah.
There wasn't actually that much for her in 23.
There was, there was and there wasn't. So, she's gone. We know she's gone from having like no one there at all. Um, she's convinced she's alone. She's convinced she has no friends. But we get the manager that she let go in season one.
Mm-hmm. I actually wrote down like a cute manager
Yeah,
just randomly showed up, and I'm like, "Where you been?
yeah,
You're the friend Angela needed."
yeah. Well, and that's exactly, and that's actually shown really well. Like you could see her being heartbroken with how, with everything Angela was saying.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying she has no friends, no one wants her, no one's gonna care if she dies, right? And she's just you know, you see the how it's affecting the manager and her not having anything to say to snap her out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Really, right? Right. The only reaction that you get is when Carole and Tuesday come to invite her to sing, right? And her reaction's still pushing everyone away,
Mm-hmm.
right? She is so rock bottom. They straight up said she was on, antidepressants and psychoactives,
Yeah.
right? Like it's I don't think we needed necessarily to see. I don't think there would have been able to be much more to show there needly because you need a breather after the end of the episode previously, so you need to see the effects, but I don't know how deep you could go into that.
When having it directly shown, like this entire series of events directly shown alongside like all the positive aspects that are happening with Carol and Tuesday, like
Yeah,
their motivation and their drive compared to the uh, complete opposite in Angela just made what was happening to Angela so much more powerful. Unfortunately, I didn't see it in the reverse. I didn't see that like enhancing what was going on in the Carole and Tuesday arc. But that could have fully just been my perception because at this point I was only interested in what was going on with Angela.
So I think Crystal actually says it very well in the final episode. It's I don't think we're supposed to see Angela's story affecting Carole and Tuesday.
Hmm.
All right, Crystal straight up says it's like, I talked about seeing this light in the darkness. That's what you guys are, and that's what they need it to be. They need it to just be that consistent, be that hopeful sound to
Just
get through the darkness that's happening there, right?
Crystal just straight up telling Carole and Tuesday the trope that they are in
Yeah, yeah,
storytelling.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
Right. But I think that's why you don't see Angela's story affecting them, as
Mm-hmm.
you said, and you've said it pretty much since the beginning. We're not going to see the conflict with Carole and Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's not their narrative purpose. They are that rock, for lack of a better term. They're the lighthouse in the storm,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what's consistent through them. Even when we're seeing them struggle, it's still just to make sure that light is going. I think that's how the stories are affecting each other, not. Right? I think the girls would have been heartbroken if Angela didn't show up. I guess we did get a little bit more about.
But when just kind of one last thing about Angela showing up, and when she did, you could see the life had returned to her eyes. Like the difference between her and even the episode beforehand, and of course the episode before that, like there was e- the same difference. You could see difference between in like the Tale of Princess Kaguya, where you had Little Bamboo versus like Princess Mode Kaguya.
Yeah,
Like the visual difference, like you could see the deadening in her eyes, but
yeah,
at the end when she had returned, like I was actually happy myself.
yeah,
Like I felt joy um that life had returned to her face, and you could
yeah,
like visually see it. So you knew that things, though not all better, uh, that they were okay,
yeah.
and she could continue on.
So here's an interesting thought. Um, I'm gonna go back a little bit into episode 23 afterwards, but um, you talked about after the fire and Mother not hitting the right notes for you.
Hmm.
Do you think they would have hit better if they reversed the songs? If Mother was a Grammy song and After the Fire was.
Hmm. On a like a musical emotional note, likely yes. From a storytelling note, they had to be where they were. But I get what you're saying. That yeah, I think they would have hit harder in that order.
Yeah. Yeah, because it honestly just hit me. It's like we've talked in the past about how the songs match.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's almost it, because After the Fire is sung before the fire is fully hit.
True. And there's almost a pleading sense to Mother.
Mm-hmm.
So, hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Again, I really like the songs, but yeah, no, as I'm just thinking about it from a narrative point, I honestly think it would have been more impactful if those two songs were essentially swapped.
that's a super smart observation. Good job.
Thanks.
You may pat yourself on the back for that one. I like that.
Um, so yes, a little bit more of the breakdown of Angela in episode 23 here first. I mean, she doesn't show up to the funeral. Well, I think she was still unconscious during the funeral for her
Hmm.
mother. We have, I think the big thing is something we talked about with Angela. Like it was something again. This is again the strength of the series because it's stuff we talked about right from the beginning with Angela. Was you could tell music was something she was actually passionate about,
Hmm.
and she actually straight up says that it's like I had no friends, but singing made me happy. That's why I wanted to get back and sing. The Grammys was my mom's
Mm.
dream, right? But it made me happy. How can I sing anymore?
Well, that culminates into the that ending statement of I figured out why I hate your song so much, and because it made me realize that um, what I was missing, that I could like sing and have fun and
Yeah.
actually enjoy what I was doing. And
I
I'm
actually
like,
wrote down the full quote because it's like I know why I hated your songs. They made me remember.
there you go. That's
Right?
actually one of the first quotes that I like that I didn't write down because
Mhm. And it was powerful, and I think that's the thing. That's that light that Carole and Tuesday are. That's the hope that they bring through. It's like even with all of that, she realizes maybe it's not bad to remember. You know, there are things that are good. You can actually sing for joy,
mm,
and Angela finally found her identity that she's been struggling with the entirety of it. Um,
she just had to lose everything and then lose everything again immediately after, and then to find herself.
yeah. Well, I think Tao helped. I think did Tao prove himself to be a real boy to you yet? At the end
No,
there,
not really. No,
no.
no, no. I mean, he had some. I'm still torn as to whether or not, because we know he has like a strong moral standing. Uh, that he still doesn't understand emotion, and his the reveal at the end actually makes me wonder if his actions were out of a sense of obligation just because of um, perceived ties, or if there was some connection. The it was I wouldn't say he's a real boy, but he's not a marionette.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
So,
more he's more whatever you would consider Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
so I can respect that. I think I disagree with you on it. I think so. With that reveal, I just consider them brother and like siblings at that point.
Yeah.
Essentially, they are. Um, I look. We kind of touched on this last episode where a lot of this was his attempts to understand emotion. I don't think he actually likes being emotionless. I think he is trying to grasp the concept.
Oh yeah. Well, that was
And
the purpose of his
yeah,
research, was actively
yeah,
striving to.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you think about it. There's him. As soon as he was done, his you know grand theft, grand theft data.
Mm-hmm.
he- You know, he. The next thing you see is him looking at the phone, him going to see her. Uh, which, let's face it, isn't exactly the logical thing to be doing.
Oh, can I make a quick point out?
Sure.
Uh, he stole that data, but he specifically only took the data that uh, he was seeking.
Yeah.
So there's a very good implication there that he knows that there would be a whole lot of other dirty dealings, but because they don't apply to what his current mission was. Like he was just ignoring them
Yeah.
because he had a very direct mission. It's
Yeah.
how I took that, and then of course stole that data.
Mhm. No, it's a good way to fight back when you see that stuff happening.
Yeah,
All right. Um,
I mean, I'm glad it wasn't Jerkface Kyle or whatever.
Still don't like Jerkface Kyle.
No,
um,
even after he pretty much rescued my boy Spencer.
um, uh, I think he actually like he managed to get through to Angela, even though he had to say goodbye, had to
Mm-hmm.
leave. Like we had the emotionless character be able to hit her emotions properly, right?
What's funny here is it took Tao uh yeah, interactions with Tao to teach Angela how to be a real girl.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if he wasn't, you know, having to finish up what he was doing to bring down Schwartz,
Yes.
um, he would have been there in a heartbeat. I honestly got that impression from him.
Well, the thing that got me is he kept glancing back to the phone.
Yeah,
So if he so this is why it makes me yeah, he kept glancing back to the phone, and that makes me more inclined to believe it's because he's feeling emotions or connections to Angela. But on the other hand, it really makes me wonder. I still have that sense of feeling that it could be out of obligation, but that's basically just because of how his character is. So I would say I'm 60% inclined to believe that it's because he's learning emotion and connection to Angela through their interactions and from having been blessed by hearing Carole and Tuesday's amazing songs that draw everyone together. Um,
so How doesn't come across to me as the person who gives any cares about obligation.
no, I mean like perceived obligation based off of uh, like a sibling connection. He knows how people are supposed to interact with that, and because he's emotionless, he might specifically do things that were based off of a role that he thinks that he should do.
So my counter to that is, why doesn't he feel that obligation to Schwartz, who's basically implied to be his father?
I would say in that case his strong moral standing would trump that. Schwartz is a bad person and wants his research for bad reasons, so that
Right.
potential familiar familial connection is thrown out the window because he's not actually bound by those ties. I mean, we're just
Yeah.
what would be the best term? Logic crafting unsaid things in a animated television show.
Yeah.
Though I mean, we've done it a bunch of times. Like logic crafting is kind of fun, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's why I'm 60-40, 60 emotional, 40 like perceived role,
Okay.
brother role. And it wasn't it wasn't a shark jump, the whole siblings thing, because of course it was end of season,
Mhm.
and they definitely had been leading up to it.
In fact, you specifically said it before this went. When I said adopted, you're like, "Oh, I thought she was a clone."
Of course, at that time, I can't claim my Susma status on that one because I thought uh, because Dahlia couldn't have children, Dahlia was cloned. She went to a
Okay.
scientist and had herself cloned. And then like the so I was truly thinking of Angela as being like this tool for Dahlia to um achieve her dreams through. Like that's how dark I went on that.
Okay. It's fair.
Yeah.
I you said that, I'm like, crap, I can't respond to this.
Well, I mean,
Um,
it's unfortunate because that kind. I mean, it wasn't a big thing. It was actually quite small, but it it definitely gave it away
mm,
because I was like, oh, yeah,
yeah.
confirmed. I didn't I didn't expect the Tau part
Yeah.
or the siblings part. Like the reveal was over the top.
Mm,
I I would have preferred Tao coming to Angela's room to have not included that.
mm,
To just be straight up walk in and like I'm actually here for you
yeah.
and this is why I'm not around. Like it was great that Angela could get closure there, especially after not getting any with Dahlia.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as much as closure as Tao could give, emotionally speaking. That was pretty much the epitome of what Tao could do, and then some.
Yeah. It was just like watching the her desperate plea to go with him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just that, I don't know, I got the impression it's like, I would love to take you with me, but I can't. It's going to be worse.
Mm-hmm.
like like
I have
knowing
to wear
that.
this really silly looking hat. Sorry, I had to lighten the mood. I actually
No one else is
the
thinking.
the Angela situation. I had been. It was tough getting emotionally invested into the series itself,
Mhm.
but I don't know a lot of my chords got struck by this Angela arc. So like this one actually, whenever Angela would come on screen, I would like start feeling the bits as if I was about to become teary eyed, and I was like, Angela, Angela, where are you, Chow?
They yeah, they just did it so well. Yeah, the second season could have been called Angela instead of Carole and Tuesday.
I am convinced more than ever that the thing that I said the other day is correct. I think that this, I really do think that this series was originally about Angela, and then some exec or producer came along, was like, "We want to sell this to an American audience." Blah 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 blah. Let's make these alterations, and then just like change the series outright.
Yeah, it's
That's
I mean,
probably why it's stained with a like a 13-year-old's understanding of American politics and like doesn't actually make sense in a bunch of ways. But
so I want to go into that a little bit. Like I actually got something to click in my head last night on that. I'm not happy with it, but I did get something to click. So, um, we kind of talked about this in the season one wrap up,
mhm.
where like we pretty much had the same conversation about it could have been the Angela story, and I referenced a lot of the shoujo anime and such things like Utena. So
Hmm.
I'll point that out again because again I think it kind of breaks the I think the tropes do kind of make sense with it always being Carole and Tuesday show. Um, Again, in Utena, in Sailor Moon, um, the titular characters aren't the ones that change.
Hmm.
It's the ones around them that change,
Hmm.
right? So even if it's dark, you know, be it dark, be it the struggles, it's not. It's generally not their struggles. Like they're they're there, their main plot point, but it's not where you're seeing the growth. So
It is, however, if you're thinking like very limited run series,
mhm,
something very short form.
yeah,
So my original thought was maybe maybe a movie treatment or short OVA series
yeah,
uh, specifically about Angela. Tune it down to make it more sellable and more formulaic. Then you get Carole and Tuesday season 2,
yeah.
and then uh, completely change it to sell it to like an American demographic. Completely change even the story structure for season 2.
Mm,
Like one of the things that I noticed outright was the first season was very familiar as that Japanese storytelling that you taught me.
yeah.
Like it's very slow burn lead up until like a spike at the end.
Mhm,
Whereas like this started peaking mid season. Like this was definitely more of American storytelling thing, and it really makes me wonder if um, some exec got on hand and went, "We need to sell this to the U.S."
So I see what you're saying when we look at it into when we completely split it up into the two seasons. Now, with this being two seasons, we always knew it was a contained story still, right? We get that just right from the intro. We know at the end of season one, we didn't hit the intro. We didn't hit how they opened season one, talking about 7 Minute Miracle, right? So that's telling me it was planned. So let's take a little bit of a step back. Season one held that story arc progression pretty much perfectly. That each of the 3 episodes, right, and all kind of happening at the end. If you step back to the whole 24 episodes, it's that same last quarter where everything starts going. So the series as a whole peaked at that last quarter, started its peak there.
Possibly. I still I still wonder about that because like if you think about it from a production standpoint, like you have
Mm,
original treatment and then you start putting things out. It's like, well, how is it? And then you get into marketing.
yeah.
Is kind of the way that I'm thinking about it. Like the beats and the structure, like they just didn't make a lot of sense together, and that's why I really do think that there was some weird meddling in the background.
Mm,
Um, I mean, overall, I'm sad that was the 7 minutes. I thought it was lackluster,
mm.
and I really wonder what President Hamilton's why he would want to shut down that broadcast and why police would be sent there.
And to have the people's talking. Um, so let's use that, I guess, to segue a little bit into the politics. I don't want to get into the 13-year-old impression of American politics, as you put it, because unfortunately, that's very much what it felt like.
Well, that's very much what they're alluding to.
Yeah.
But
Now,
I'm
with that, go ahead.
I'm just like I I would kind of like to see a third season, and it's them dealing with the fallout of, I guess, crossing, the current government regime. Um, which was the yeah, was because Hamilton was the
The
returning
incumbent.
president, yeah, the incumbent that Valerie was going up against, but Hamilton, like, police being part of the state, and of course those rules and laws being set by the state, which is being led by Hamilton. Uh, I mean, on the periphery, you would have Valerie, who was in uh, province was it?
Um,
It also started with
oh,
Herschel province, and Herschel city. So that's because Valerie was a governor,
yeah.
but they're in Alba, and of course that's where Ezekiel was arrested and deported back to Earth, and then like the message was very very muddled because like they were trying to portray Hamilton as being like a pro immigrant person. I'm like, then why do you have these policies? I don't know.
Yeah, they may have. Yeah, I think they
It was
missed that mark a little bit.
no, and this
Um,
is and that's one of the big reasons why I think it was like we need to sell this to a demographic in the United States. So those are the big hallmarks to me.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I said this before. You could have had these same conflicts with Valerie if she was, you know, um, like a corrupt company CEO, or
So I disagree with you on that. Like, and again, this just clicked for me last night,
mhm.
and I don't think they implemented it well. The reason why it couldn't have been a corrupt CEO
Mm.
and was the corrupt politicians, because as much as corporations rule the world, everyone likes to think it's the governments that do.
Well, I mean, they even
So
said that in Carole and Tuesday, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, you actually got that right.
yeah. So the political theme that was running through was the antagonistic force to or the counter theme to the theme of togetherness that we've talked throughout the entire series.
Hmm.
The
Oh,
the issue is they didn't thread it throughout the series. It just all came as a big dump.
well, yeah, they just slapped it on in second season,
Hmm.
and it's almost like I'm gonna feel bad for saying this. It's like they took all their mental prowess and creativity and just dumped it into Angela's storyline. And then they're just like, yeah, and the rest, I guess, we are the world, and like, oh, here, here's the bad politician, and oh yeah, I'm like, this is why I'm just like, if if I was watching this on my own and the Angela arc was not in this, I would have just stopped watching.
I
I've just
agree.
been like, yeah,
Um, um, yeah, it's that if they just spent a little bit more time building up a bit of that animosity. And there's other issues with that animosity too. And it's things like, okay, I can understand, the whole conflict Earth thing. We've kind of talked about how it is a general trope. Mars was colonized 49 years prior to the series starting.
oh, jeez,
And the reason I know that is because the date on Dahlia's tombstone is like MCE 0049.
Mm. And that would be Mars colonization.
So,
I watched the movie. Good. Um,
so if they had things like, so little things that could have changed it. I mean, other than making Valerie out to be the bad guy, which, as you've clearly stated, this is current President Hamilton's policies, not Valerie's, right? For the artist part, um, and him doing the deportation. So yeah, clearly that's not just a her policy thing. If they had spread it out a little bit more, right?
mhm.
Just have even just like little flashes of or rumblings of there being a conflict, right? It doesn't need to be the big explosion,
Well, I
but
mean,
just
from a storytelling standpoint, it would have been best if uh, it didn't include immigrants at all, and it
mm,
was more related to um, like true politicking in these series. We're talking, um, things you'd see in The Expanse, like trade, like Mars feeling like it's being taken advantage of by Earth.
yeah,
Um, these sort of things when you see like the more, it's even sad to say, like even get that much more tropey about it
yeah,
by trying to put um some type of current overlays over it. I think they lost the message completely, and
yeah,
actually it took away from the series greatly.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, they could have it be the just issues between Earth and Mars, and
And there
and just
would
have
be.
it, yeah, and just have it earlier, right? Again, doesn't need to be much. Just like we see the scrolls, right? Where like I know we've both read and mentioned, like saw the messages on the scrolls and things. Like just have something there about trade deal with Earth going poorly or something, and maybe
Maybe
even a little bit of the conflict with the artists stepping out against the political message to lead up to them getting rid of all these artists.
here's a thought. Uh, um, you'll probably watch this again, and of course, because I've already pre-ruined Totoro for you. Um, I want you to, when you watch this again next, because you totally will, to watch it thinking of Mars as some form of totalitarian dystopia.
Mm,
Because what are all those messages on the boards? They're always positive. You're always happy. You're always smiling. Oh wait, you're thinking for yourself. President Hamilton's gonna send the police to stop your broadcast. Oh, you're criticizing the government. Oh, the government's gonna ship you off world or throw you in jail.
yeah, it's I don't disagree with that though. I actually can very easily see that being what's happening. Again,
Hmm.
I think they could have done a little bit more to bring it a little bit more to the forefront. Um, and again, still that authenticity versus manufactured, right?
Well,
Like
I,
their
I
authenticity is breaking through.
I thought that was what was gonna save it.
Hmm.
To go back to the original themes, um, I was so hoping that the whole Hamilton versus Valerie was going to be a case of two politicians, one being authentic and one being manufactured. And
Yeah,
for that, um, I mean, I'm happy that Valerie has somehow learned to become a real mom.
yeah,
Uh, like it's clear a lot of those policies she was only going to because she wanted to win, I guess. I mean, that's what they said. You don't
yeah,
actually, um, but I was hoping that that's the only thing that would have saved the uh, politicking arc for me,
yeah,
aside from just changing it completely.
yeah. I still think keeping it political could work, but yeah, just you needed to change how the themes work. You needed to have little introductions of that earlier. Um, and I think it would have shone through. And I'm gonna say it again because I know I've said this many times throughout the second wall here. I haven't seen Cowboy Bebop. I do wonder how much of this,
Well, I bet you
like,
Professor
what am I
Zeman
losing
is.
there?
I bet you Professor Zeman is from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. And the little bit I do know about Cowboy Bebop, actually, fuck, that's what it is. The little bit you mentioned about the little bit that I can remember about Cowboy Bebop has that space punk feel. It is a dystopia.
Yeah,
Like from the little bits I know of it, I think that's
Alba City. It's too shiny. It's too sleek. Telling you.
yeah. We really should we really should put Cowboy Bebop on the second wall. um,
I just,
yeah, I'm really wondering how much light that would bring to a few of these things.
I guess overall as a show, I mean, it's far be it from me to actually be like, oh, they should. I'm just saying the things I would have wanted them to do rather than things they should have done or changed. Like, not so much as, uh, do a re edit and pull out all the nonsense. I mean, I might suggest a little hours re edit to make it digestible for you, but um,
Well, first of all, we're on the internet, so I mean, we're supposed to, rip it apart and make it our own thing. No, we
so
don't really
so
do
what
that here.
they that what the internet's for?
Yes,
It's not what I've ever used it for.
I don't know. You got to prove you're right, and make the story fit what you think it should be. I honestly don't see issues in figuring in what can change a series. Just I like doing it as what's the smallest change you can make without affecting it all, right? And I actually think that's what we kind of did with the political arc there. It's just like change it that little bit. Don't make it such an
Contemporary.
obvious proxy,
Yeah.
right? You can still keep the politics, just make it not a 13-year
Well, it's
old's idea
understanding.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. Um, and I mean, there's a lot of really good political themes in anime where it doesn't feel heavy-handed.
I do kind of wish it ended at season 1, but then I mean, I guess I wouldn't be sad because technically I couldn't be if that was the case. However, uh, I I would have been sad that I wouldn't get to experience the Angela arc
Yeah,
because it was the most powerful arc in the show.
yeah.
You know what I felt was missing from the second season was the sage encounters.
Um,
I liked to have people just gently pointing the way for Carole and Tuesday, um, and like gently encouraging them along their path.
well, we did have Desmond.
Desmond. I hate how Desmond sings, but I enjoy Desmond as a character.
Yeah. uh, so Desmond, I think, was the big sage one. I think, I think it was there. It was just in a very different. I don't think that's the encouragement they necessarily needed in the same way.
Yeah, I guess.
I, I mean, we still get that little bit. Like they've got to meet a lot of their mentors it's almost like they started to become. I'm just trying to think how to phrase this. Um,
More that they're finding their own way rather than needing to be guided.
yeah, they're finding their own way, and it's it's working. They needed that sage advice in the first one's like, keep keep what you're doing. This is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with Skip and Crystal at that point there, right?
Well, I guess they realized
To
their authenticity when they played at the Sidonia Festival again.
yeah.
So that was affirming that sage advice that they had been receiving.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's what we get so yeah, we get the affirmations of that. We get and you see that again. So Desmond affirming what they're doing is reaching people. Crystal uh does that. Even Ertegun, the way Ertegun is with them compared to how their interactions were in season one, right? Like they've
I love how trusting Gus was with them. He was
mm,
just like, no, you girls have to write a song.
yeah.
And he's like, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Like sees the talent. So good.
Yeah. And he always did, right? Like see, I don't think I mean so the encouragement they got in this one here was more of that like it was it wasn't as necessarily heartfelt as Skip and Crystal's sage advice in season one,
Mm-hmm.
but they had that that the tough encouragement
Mm-hmm.
from Toby. Right? It's like, no, I know you guys can get these perfect marks and right. Right? Like
Love
so
me some Toby.
right, but that's the type of push we got instead,
Mm.
right? To the point where that culminated with an actual compliment. Yeah, I think they got the push they needed, just it was different.
With the focus being so heavily on Angela, I'm sad that they couldn't expand on Roddy more. He's the only one that didn't have a history,
Mm-hmm.
but having been was so integral to the story. It's weird that they didn't develop. My other thought besides production meddling was originally being slated for 3 seasons, a 3 season arc, and that's why this one was so packed.
Yeah, it's
Because there's weird storytelling things that seem rush and characters that didn't seem as well written as they were in the first season. And from a production standpoint, it doesn't look like they got lazy. There
yeah,
was a
yeah.
few episodes where animation quality dropped, but it was clear that they were doing their best.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't just like they did something and it caught on and now they're just dropping the ball. It didn't give me that. I yeah. So yeah, the other thought aside from production melody or meddling was canceled 3rd season where they only got greenlit for 2
Yeah.
and they had to fit as much of the story into 2 as possible.
I could see that. I could see like I'm not sure what else they would need to add, but I could see it yeah, expanding it a little bit more. And again, it could even go back as I said to like the which yeah, that makes sense because like I'm thinking like even like big long running ones like look at or even shorter series Trigun
Hmm.
I think is a good analog for this. It's like the first half of the series is very similar to the first half of Carole and Tuesday, where it's like here's the characters doing what the characters do. Right, you're not really expanding much in the way of overall conflicts and such happening. And the second half, it
Oh, you just remind me of Wolfwood. You're a monster. My boy. Look what they did to my boy.
I know, right?
You're a monster.
There goes Devin, ruining Drew's day again.
Again.
Pretty sure this is like the fourth or fifth time I've done this in released episodes.
This is my this is my life. Please,
This is what you
please
get for
share.
introducing me to Little Hours.
please share. Please share in the comments and discuss how Devin has ruined your life. I mean, I don't actually have too much more to say about the season or about it. I guess to wrap up, uh, I liked all the characters as they were, including Jerkface. This is like season one felt right, like finding that pair of pants that just fits you perfectly.
Yeah.
Tight in the right places, loose in the right places. Season two was kind of like finding that shirt you really like and it's on sale, and then you bring it home and then you realize there's a stain somewhere weird or a bleach mark. That's how season two was. And then I guess season three is like Tao's hat. Should have never happened. No, I'm joking. I would love to see a season three.
Yeah.
I as long as it doesn't involve Tao's hat.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think. Yeah, expanding it that little bit more,
that
making changes, getting rid
that'll
of Tao's hat.
that'll save me. I'll wear exactly the same thing, but add this hat, and no one will recognize me.
um. Yeah, I think giving the second half of the series just a little bit more room to breathe wouldn't even necessarily need to been a whole season, even just another few episodes, and just kind of spread out a little bit of the not Angela stuff
Or like
in particular.
a single OVA
Yeah,
or AV. I always forget how they structure it when it's just a
OV.
OV. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, just a single one of them, because like you see that all the time in these Japanese animated shows.
yeah,
They'll like do a series and then they'll just like release a movie on the end,
yeah,
and
uh,
that almost how it could have been.
yeah,
It overall feelings, I love the character, the characters, the character development, um, that there was like a finger quotations redemption arc for, Valerie, that Gus was able to provide where he had failed beforehand. Like he
yeah.
had succeeded at something.
How cutting a few of his strings.
Yeah. uh, season two is definitely more powerful emotionally to me, but I'm wondering if that had to be because the way it was structured, I just became so attached to Angela, which I didn't expect I would be.
Yeah,
Which, mind you, I originally started like projecting upon Carole, but because they're Carole and Tuesday don't really change much with the series, like having a
yeah,
wandering eye
yeah,
for like those projections. And like you mentioned that Angela's one of your most well liked characters. A very good friend of mine uh, said that Angela was one of her favorites as well.
yeah.
I'm like, I can see why, even if just speaking of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I guess my closing point in the end is I think it's silly that the owl alarm clock was at the at the show at the end.
What are you talking about? Ziggy best character.
um, I was let down by this. They talk up the miracle 7 minutes, and then I feel like they tried to do something powerful or something with it. It just didn't hit the mark for me. But maybe I'm not the demo. So
Yeah. I think the I think the 7 minutes was
Not awkward in a closet after spin the bottle, but
We had just finished such an emotional aspect with Angela. This is where those extra few episodes could have come in to let things breathe a little bit.
yeah, I think so.
We have Angela's crash there. Take a few episodes, like with sure, kind of have Angela's struggles. You know, even if it's just seeing her shut off from the world for a few episodes while they expanded some of the politics stuff that was happening,
To make it make
right?
sense and not be,
To to make it make sense, not be feel a bit forced.
yeah,
And then go into that song. So it's not immediately after we watched Angela pretty much almost die on the Grammy stage.
yeah, yeah. You're
There's
hundo p, as the youth would say, if they say that. You are correct. They could have done
so
it in 2 episodes.
yeah, just a
Uh,
couple of more episodes.
with the writing teams and like directing and all that, like their inability to waste space.
Yeah,
They could have done it in 2 episodes or a single OV easy,
yeah,
and had room for like uh some character expansion for Roddy.
yeah. Oh, easily. Again, they are super efficient with what they've done.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
like
I
Gus
think
has 6 backstories, but Roddy doesn't get one. Come on.
he likes robot.
He does like robot.
Yeah.
He like big screen.
Yeah.
Right.
um,
He like Tuesday.
yeah. That would be the soft change I would make to the series. Just give those couple episodes that little bit of breathing room, so which would have given likely given the 7 minutes a bit more impact than it had. And the one hard change that they should have made is I hate that they said will be continued in your mind.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, that's a demographic thing. It was supposed to resonate with you in a way so that you would,
I get exactly what they were trying to do.
yeah.
Why did they use mind?
Oh, they should have used heart. That would have made so much more sense for Carole and Tuesday.
Hard change.
Just
They fucked that up.
just replace the word.
It's bothered me so much every time I see that. It's like
Telling you, producer's hand. Oh yeah, why don't you just throw this on the end? Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Thanks.
probably wrap it up.
All right. Thanks for huddling around the second wall with us here tonight. Join us next week as we discuss Princess Mononoke at the Media Club. Please join the conversation in the comments or social media. We love to get your thoughts on Carole and Tuesday, especially now that it's the full spoiler-free wrap-ups. And yeah, if you think we could be a 7-minute miracle, please share us.